Welcome to A Happy Adult. I am so proud of you that you've joined us again because that means you are planning on being a happier adult and you're willing to do the work to get to that point. Remember, I can give you the tools, but ultimately it depends on you to use those tools to become a happier adult. Please check out our past videos on saving money painlessly and on the difference between a traditional and a Roth IRA, because this kind of leads after those. So we're talking about what you can put into an IRA, because your IRAs are basically like a suitcase and you've got to put stuff in it. You can't just leave it there. If you don't put the different things in, it's not gonna make any money. So we're gonna talk about some basic ones. I'm not gonna get into the bonds right now, although bonds are one of the options. We'll talk about that in the future because this is more aimed toward my younger audience. So you probably don't want to have a lot in bonds right now anyway, because you have a long time before you're going to need the money because it's a retirement account. So we'll talk about bonds a little bit later. So your first one is a money market fund. So there's a difference between a money market account and a money market fund. A money market account is FDIC insured and it's done through a bank. A money market fund is not FDIC insured and it's done with your IRAs and through your regular brokerage accounts. So a money market fund is a mutual fund that has like cash and treasuries and things that are not really volatile. So with that, it doesn't have a high interest rate that it will come in with it. So you'll want to use that really as a settlement account. So that is going to be where your money might originally go in until you have enough to invest in some of the other mutual funds or stocks. So you'd put it in there, and also it would be a place where if you maybe need to sell something and want to hold in more of a cash type of thing, account with less volatility, that's where you would put it. So that's what that is, also called a settlement account. The next thing is stocks. So a stock is basically you giving money to a corporation and you having ownership of a teeny part of that corporation. So if you think about like how many stockholders are in Tesla or Johnson & Johnson, or there's a bazillion of them. So you own just a teeny bit, but you do own a teeny bit. So that means you will get an annual report from the company. You will get a vote, again, teeny vote, but you will get a vote on any of the things that they may have for the stockholder meetings. So that's what a stock is. A mutual fund is basically like a package of a bunch of different cash and stocks and bonds and maybe treasuries, and that package all together is sold all together. It's always in that package, all sold together. And there are ones that are actively managed, so a manager kind of tweaks that package every once in a while. So those are what mutual funds are. Now, mutual funds are going to be sometimes a little less risky than a stock because of the fact that there's a package, right? So if one thing in the package isn't good, well, it's not too bad. But when you have a stock, you only have just that company. So if that company tanks, well then your stock is tanked. Mutual fund is a whole bunch of different things together. So it's a little bit less risky. So let's talk about the two types of mutual fund stocks. So there's growth and then there's income. So an income stock or an income mutual fund keeps things at a little bit less volatile type fund. It has maybe more bonds in it. It has maybe more cash in it. It's because it is aimed towards creating this income, say for people that are older and maybe that they're living off of that income. Whereas a growth stock is aimed toward that mutual fund growing and getting to be more higher costs and more value to it. So those are the two things. Now, do you want all growth? Do you want all income? Not necessarily. You eventually want to diversify, and we'll talk a little bit about that later, but there's so much with diversification and the different areas that it would take way too long to do one video. So I'm just giving you the basics now, and we'll springboard off of it. Now, you may end up springboarding on your own and going, hey, I can do this, and I want to learn about this, and I want to learn about that. But that's great. That's fantastic. Otherwise, I'll give it to you in baby steps. Give it to you a little bit at a time. So what else do I want to make sure I have? All right, so you're like, oh, Miss Owens, but what do you do? What do you do? How do you do it? What I want the thing. Okay, what works for me may not work for you. I am older. I am very conservative. I don't like to take a lot of risk. So if you're want to make the big bucks and make it quickly, and you want to look at the market and keep an eye on it all the time, this may not be the plan for you, because I'm a slow, steady grower. So I like mutual funds and stocks that give me dividends as my core investment. Now, granted, I have other stocks and I have things that don't give me dividends, but as my core. And let me tell you why. So dividends are basically where the company is saying, hey, stockholder, we like you. We're going to give back. We're going to give back to you. Now, when they give back, which is normally for stocks, it's normally quarterly. It changes, but it's normally quarterly. That means every 3 months, they're giving back to you. Now, the reason why I like it is because if the stock market is going up and down, and the stock market's down and your stock costs less, but they give you dividends and you're reinvesting those dividends, well, you now have bought dividends when it was less expensive. So eventually, that's going to go back up. Well, now you have more of them, okay? So that's why I like dividends. But again, what's best for me may not be best for you. I like that long haul, way down the road kind of thing. So that's just me. But I like the ones with dividends. Now, another thing that will help with this up and down is what's called dollar cost averaging. So if you have, say, $1,000 that you can invest, or say if you want to invest a little at a time, what dollar cost averaging says is it is better to, instead of popping it all at once, it is better to do some 1 month and some the next month and some 1 month and some the next month. So then if it is going like this, you're buying at a low and you might be buying at a high, but you're also buying at a low. So that's called dollar cost averaging. And again, that helps with that up and down. That is about it of the basics, the really, really basics. So I'm still looking for those pockets of joy. So if you want to send me a happy face, I'd love it. When I get better at editing, I'm going to put all those happy faces and do a little snippet video to just bring you guys joy. Thank you again for joining me. I'm so incredibly proud of you that you have joined me yet again. Remember, I'm looking for your ideas, what you want. This is for you guys. You are strong enough to handle anything that comes your way this week. No matter how hard, you are strong enough to handle it. Sending you much love.